Hi, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, I am suited and booted today, and the reason for it is because I'm putting on the Ritz. I'm actually here at the Ritz Hotel, the most famous hotel in the world, and I'm here to have afternoon tea. This is meant to be the best afternoon tea anywhere on the globe, so let's go inside and check it out. So here I am at my table in Palm Court, and it is quite an impressive place. I'll get some video of it in a minute because the management here are very sensitive about cameras. So when I got my camera out with a tripod, I was told to put that away immediately. So we'll do some filming, but I've got the menu here, so let's have a quick look at the menu. So here is the menu for afternoon tea, and the first thing to notice is that they've got a huge selection of teas. Not sure how many there are. It looks like there's probably about 20 different teas here. So we've got Earl Grey, Royal English, English Rose Blend, Organic Darjeeling, Green Elderflower, right through to Chamomile Flower. So huge selection of tea. I'll be going for, I think, the Royal English. That sounds appropriate for being at the Ritz because royalty have stayed here. It's actually built back at the start of the 1900s during the Edwardian period, and Princess Diana has stayed here as well as Winston Churchill. And then looking at the actual food itself, it's a classic selection, so we'll have a look at that when it arrives. But this is the set menu that you get. You don't get a choice, you basically just get what they're providing. Now, there are no prices on this menu, so we'll talk about the price later. Actually, in terms of those prices, I just noticed that there are prices for champagne. You can see that it's £25 for one single glass, and there is the glass, not particularly big, just a standard glass. That is quite expensive. I won't be having one of those, but interesting to note. So here is the Palm Court, which is where the afternoon tea has been served traditionally since the Ritz opened. So very, very high ceilings with nice chandeliers, very opulent, really upmarket, feels very, very classic and British. This is a great institution, so if you're going to come and have an afternoon tea, this is definitely one of the best places in the world to do it. The tea has now arrived, and you can see that it is served in amazing teapots. It's just incredible. It's silver pewter, really nice. This one is the Royal English, and it comes with an extra pot of hot water, so if you want to top it up or it's too strong, you can do that. And we've also ordered Chocolate Delight, which I don't know whether it tastes of chocolate, but we'll see. And these are the free glasses of water. As you know, in anywhere where it has a license in the UK, you can request tap water. So if we're buying water in the bottle, I'm sure it would be very expensive, but this is the free water. So let me just pour out some of this tea. Oh, hang on a minute, I've forgotten about the leaves. So I need to put in my strainer, because this will be made from real tea leaves. There we go. So you can see it's caught some of the leaves here. And I will leave that to cool for a minute before I have any. So this is the English, Royal English tea. Quite strong. It's incredibly hot, really hot. Tastes like a very high quality English breakfast tea. Really quite nice. I'm fond of tea. As you can see, I don't have any milk. They did serve us some milk in a lovely little mug, little pot, but I don't have milk. Now, interestingly, the reason why the British have milk in their tea is because back when tea was first introduced to the UK, everything was served in really fine china cups. So fine, in fact, that when you poured the hot tea into it, they cracked and broke because they couldn't cope with the heat. So somebody started pouring a bit of milk in, and it cooled things down and stopped all the china from breaking. So that's why tea is served with milk. And the traditional way of doing it is to put the milk in first if you're using a teapot. If you're using a tea bag, then do not put the milk in first. The food has now arrived, and as you can see, we've got quite an impressive presentation here. So the sandwiches are finger sandwiches. Now, let me just talk about afternoon tea, the genesis of it. This actually dates back to 1840. And Anna, who was the 7th Duchess of Bedford, invented afternoon tea because she was getting hungry between lunch and dinner, because dinner was served quite late in those days. So she started having some scones, that's how it started, and inviting some friends round, and it became a bit of a society thing. So high society were all having afternoon tea round with the Duchess of Bedford. And they then expanded it because so many people were coming, and they added the sandwiches and then some very fancy cakes. So that's your traditional afternoon tea. So what we've got here, huge selection of sandwiches here. So we've got cheese and chutney, ham and mustard, smoked salmon, chicken, egg and cress, and what's this other one? Not even sure what the other one is. And what they've just told us is that it's basically an all-you-can-eat buffet, because if we eat all of these, they said they will replenish them. So I could sit here and eat all of these and just keep going for the next few hours. So this is probably the poshest all-you-can-eat buffet in the world. But let's start with these sandwiches. So let's have a go. So as you can see, they're tiny, they're really small, but obviously it's meant to be afternoon tea. So let's have a look at that. You can see it's nicely filled. It's really nice bread, obviously high quality, no crusts on there, they've all been chopped off. So let's have a little taste of that and see what it's like. That's an excellent cheese and chutney sandwich, as you would imagine. Bread's really nice and soft. Very good cheese, it's cheddar cheese. Just enough pickle on there to give you a flavour without being too overpowering. So it tastes predominantly of cheese. That's really nice. Let me try, let me just race through all of these and see what they're like. So this is the salmon and cream cheese. That is a classic for afternoon tea. If you like salmon, that'll be right up your street, because it's got a really good proportion of salmon to cream cheese to bread. So it tastes mostly of smoked salmon, really high quality, really tasty. Good temperature as well, really quite nice. Let me just grab the next one. So we have got ham and mustard on white bread. It sort of looks like it's slightly got some sort of grain in that bread as well. Wow, that's probably my favourite so far. So the ham is classic ham that's been cut off the bone. So this isn't the sort of ham that you get in the supermarket where it's processed. This has come from an actual leg of lamb, or sorry, of ham. Really tasty. The mustard is English mustard, so it's got a little bit of a kick to it, a little bit spicy, really tasty. And the bread, super soft, super nice. We'll grab the next one. This one is tuna on dark rye bread. Totally different type of bread, really nice, got lots of texture to it. That's really delicious, really lovely. It's actually pieces of tuna, so it's not flake tuna. It's really nice, really tasty. Only a couple more to go. The classic cucumber sandwich. So this is quintessentially British. I don't think anybody apart from the British have cucumber in a sandwich. Why would you? It's got some cream cheese on it as well. Do you know what? If you've never had a cucumber sandwich, you should try it, because it's really interesting. It's got a crunch to it, so it has a little bit of bite, but then the flavour is so subtle and succulent and really tasty. I guess if I was to describe it, it's a little bit like watermelon, a cucumber sandwich, that sort of same sensation, where you feel like you're getting liquid as well as the texture, so really, really nice. And then the final one here is egg mayonnaise, which again is another classic for British afternoon tea. This is served in a brioche bun. That's fantastic, really good quality, really nice. So these sandwiches are absolutely excellent. Now we could get a complete refill. I'm not going to, because I'm going to be full. I'm waiting for the scone and the cakes, and also there's a special trolley that comes later. So let me eat these sandwiches. I've now eaten all of the sandwiches, and I decided, because it is an all-you-can-eat buffet, basically, to get some more. So they've just brought us another round of sandwiches. Now you don't get the brioche buns, which I'm okay with because they were a bit big anyway, but pretty much got 2 rounds of sandwiches again, and if I wanted to I could eat these and order some more. I'm not going to, because I definitely need to save some space for these guys and the scones and also the trolley. But when in Rome, might as well have as many finger sandwiches as you can. And these ones are just as good as the last ones. The scones have now arrived, and we've got 2 different types. We've got a plain one and a raisin one. My favourite's the raisin, but some people prefer the plain, so you get best of both worlds here, you get one of each. And the first controversy is it scone or is it scone? Now, I don't know how you say it, but I say scone, but there is a big divide in the UK, and a survey that was taken in 2019 actually came out 51% scone, 49% scone, so it's right down the middle, and it tends to be people from the north of the country say scone, people from the south say scone. But anyway, we'll park that for now. Well, I can tell you that Queen Elizabeth II, who was on the throne for a very long time, she said scone, so if she said it, I'm saying it. Now, when you get the scone, you cut it in half and you put jam and cream on it, and this is clotted cream, so it's not like whipped cream, it's much heavier than that. It actually dates back to the 11th century. Had monks in a place called Devon in the UK. They used to warm cream and all of the they'd warm milk, and all of the cream would rise to the surface. They would then skim it off, and they would serve that on bread to pilgrims with some jam, and that's how it started with the whole jam and cream. And then when scones were invented, everybody moved on to the scones. So that's basically the history of why we have jam and cream with scones. But the big debate is, do you put the jam on first or the cream on first? Now, in Devon, where those monks started out, you put the cream on first. They use it like butter. So you put the cream on and then you load it with jam on the top. In Cornwall, the other place where cream was invented, they put the jam on first and they put the cream on the top. So today, I'm going to try it both ways round and see which I think tastes best. So here is the raisin scone. So we have to cut it in half because it's too big. And I am now going to do the 2 different options. So let's go with the Cornish way first. So the Cornish way, you put the jam on first. So spread this. So it's a bit dry, the scone, obviously. Not this particular scone, every scone in the world is a bit dry. So the jam spreads, but it doesn't stick to it particularly well. And then I'll use a different knife so I don't put any jam into the cream. That'll be a bit of a cardinal sin. So, oh wow, look at this clotted cream. It's so thick. It's a little bit like plasticine, or if you've had any cream that you've left out and it's sort of gone a bit hard. It's the way it's meant to be, but it's not. It doesn't spread. It's not very runny. So this is why the Cornish people put the cream on second, because it's a bit more tricky to spread. So let me just put a bit of that on there. So if I'm going to put that all on, it is going to be quite difficult. I think I'd be better off putting it on bite by bite. Let me just have a bite of that and see what it's like. So the first thing to note is that the scones are warm because they've just been made. When the guy served us all the food, he basically said, I can't bring the scones out yet because they're still in the oven. And I believe him, because this is definitely warm. Not too warm, because if it was too warm, then the jam and the cream would melt and run off it. So it's just the right temperature, absolutely perfect. Now the combination we've got here, I put a relatively thin layer of jam on. So it lifts the sweetness, because the scone is more of a bread product. It's got some raisins in it, which are a little bit sweet, and it's a sweet consistency, but the jam's definitely lifting it. The cream is really luxurious and thick, and not like cream that you'd have in a pudding. This is a bit more like butter, that sort of consistency, quite thick. Really good combination of the 3 different flavours. Absolutely phenomenal. So if you've never had it, I would definitely try it. Now, let me do it the other way round, see whether or not this works. So this is the Devon way of doing it, where you put the cream on first. So I'm spreading the cream a little bit like it was butter. So you can see it doesn't spread as well as butter. Maybe butter that's been in the fridge, similar to that. But it goes on quite well. It's actually easier to put that on to the scone than it was putting it on. If I show you putting it onto the jam, it's quite tricky because the jam is basically slippery. So it doesn't really spread onto the jam. It just comes off. I have to sort of pull it off the knife from the corner. So definitely easier doing it this way round. Let's put the jam on top of that and see what that's like. Well, this is quite a thin jam. I'd say it's more of a preserve rather than a jam. Quite often a jam will be quite gelatin. This is quite thin, so I would say it's definitely easier to do it this way round, certainly with this clotted cream, because the clotted cream is very thick. It's difficult to spread on top of jam, whereas you can put the jam quite easily on top of the clotted cream. So you can see that I've been able to do the whole scone, whereas with this one, I'm going to have to do it piece by piece. So let's have another bite. And that's interesting because I thought the taste would be identical. It's actually slightly different having the clotted cream in the middle of the scone and the jam, because it releases the flavours. You have the scone, then the cream, then the jam as a sort of sweet aftertaste. So out of the two options, I have to say I prefer this option. It's much easier to actually assemble and spread, and I think the taste is better. So I'm leaning towards the Devon way of doing scones rather than the Cornwall way. So apologies to anybody in Cornwall who thinks that I've committed a sin by doing it this way, but I've just done the test and this one definitely is easier to do. So let me eat the rest of this and I'll come back to you. So even though I said I wasn't going to order any more scones, I did. I've ordered some more raisin ones and they brought 3 more and a complete refill of the jam and cream. So the fact that you can just keep ordering definitely makes this the best all-you-can-eat buffet in the whole of the UK. Absolutely amazing. Now, Mattsy's feeling a bit full, but it'd be interesting to see whether or not I can take all of this home on a doggy bag, because we've still got quite a lot of sandwiches from the second round that I ordered, and I've now got 5 more scones, so that's probably more than I'm going to eat because I haven't started on the cakes yet, and then I've also got the trolley to dive into. I just want to talk about the service here because it is exceptional. These guys, the waiters, are attending to you the whole time. So if you need anything, a refill of the tea, they come round, they will pour it for you. If you need any more food, they will just go and get it instantly. I asked for some hot milk just to see whether they would bring it. They brought some hot milk really quickly. So it is incredible. And the general atmosphere in here, you may be able to hear there's piano music. That's a live pianist. So they have that on every single day. Sometimes I think they have a harpist, so they have a harp. Depends what day you come. The general feel here, it's like a high society wedding. So if you've ever been to a really posh wedding, that's sort of what it feels like. There's a nice hubbub, you can hear everybody talking, it's sort of nice and lively, good atmosphere, not too loud, the music's at a right level where you can still speak to people, you're not having to worry about it, but it does feel lively and fun, because I've been to some places that are upmarket where it can be a bit stuffy and a bit quiet and feel a bit like a library, and you don't really want to speak and you feel a bit awkward and a bit like out of place. Here, very relaxed, all the staff are really nice and friendly as well, so if you ask them something, they'll help you. They seem to be enjoying their jobs, no miserable staff, which is good. So this place is incredible. I have to say, I'll give you the score at the end, but I can't find any fault with it. This is amazing. So let me dive into one of these scones and I'll catch you again in a minute. I've now had 2 scones, so I'm feeling quite full. It's a lot of food, but I've got to start on the cakes because that's one of the highlights of afternoon tea. It's got 3 different cakes here. The first one is a blueberry cheesecake, and it comes on a lovely little platter. So let me take off that. That's very nice, isn't it? Not real gold, so paper, but still very nice. So it looks great. Now, if you've got a sweet tooth, you're going to like this. That is really, really tasty. So it's got a blueberry jam, very thin pastry, melts in your mouth. And we've then got some cheesecake and some fresh blueberries on top. That is absolutely delicious. I would eat all of it, but I'm going to start on the next one. The next one is a raspberry and lime mousse, also on a little gold platter. Quite heavy. Well, that's really tasty. You get the tart flavour of the raspberry, really comes through strong, but so soft, so succulent. The biscuit on the bottom is wafer thin, but gives it a nice little bit of crunch, so it's a really good complement to the mousse. That's incredible, amazing. And then finally, we have got a choux bun. with banana and salted caramel. It's got a little bit of chocolate on the top, you can see. It's very well presented. I mean, this is a work of art, amazing. You can see where it's been filled at the bottom. Let me see if I can bite it without breaking everything. That's like a very delicate banoffee pie. Really, really subtle salted caramel. So more of an aftertaste. Chocolate on the top gives it a nice little bit of crunch. So soft, so delicate, so lovely. I'm going to eat all of these now. And then there's also a trolley with more cakes on it. So let me finish this and then we'll get on to the trolley. I have now eaten all of those cakes, but as if by magic, they've refilled because this is an all-you-can-eat buffet. So I asked them, can we have some more cakes? And they brought 2 more cakes for everything. So this, what you're looking at here, is basically what's going to go in my doggy bag for the way home. So I think that's a little tip for the top if you're coming here, because you can get unlimited refills, even though you might not want to eat 2 cakes and 2 scones and lots of sandwiches. It's definitely worth asking for a refill, because then when you come to leave, you can put it in a box and take it home and maybe have it later or share it with some friends. So I think that's a little tip for the top, and they do look delicious. I'm tempted to have another one, but I'm going to ask for the trolley to see what's on that. So the trolley has now been, and it was a genuine trolley, wheeled it up here, and there were 2 large cakes, so they were actually substantial cakes. Interestingly, when he sliced it, had a different knife for both cakes, all wrapped up in lovely serviettes, so really impeccable standards, amazing. So we've got 2 cakes here. This is a classic Victoria sponge, which is a traditional British dessert. So it's basically a cake that's got jam and cream through the middle, so similar to what we've been eating. And then this is a ginger loaf with a nice topping on top. So let's try this Victoria sponge first. It's a bit crumbly, quite difficult to pick up. It's really tasty. Let's have a little bit more of that. The jam, really, it tastes like premium high-end jam. So if you've ever bought very expensive jam in a jar, that's what it tastes like. Really nice taste. The sponge itself, really soft and light, just melts in your mouth. Really good Victoria sponge, and I've had a lot of those over my time. That's as good as I've had. So this is the ginger loaf, which has got gold leaf on the top. You can see there's actually some gold leaf here. Now there's a lot of gold leaf in the Ritz. It's all over the ceilings, it's on the walls, on the mirrors. I didn't expect it to be on the food, but it is. So let's have a go and see what this tastes like, this ginger loaf with a cream cheese topping. Has a very different texture and consistency to the Victoria sponge. This is a lot more dense and much heavier bake, a lot more moist. The cream cheese topping, very tasty, like a salted caramel type flavour. The gold leaf doesn't really taste of anything, doesn't taste of gold, not sure what gold tastes like, but it doesn't taste of anything. Really nice cake. Not much ginger in it. Oh, actually, now that I've said that, the aftertaste has just come. So that's probably a 10-15 second delay. So it doesn't taste of ginger when you're eating it, but then later you think, no, there's a nice gingery flavour. So very subtle, very light, very nice. Both of these desserts, fantastic. Now you can have unlimited desserts off the trolley as well. Not going to do that. I've had quite a lot of food and feeling really full. Now in terms of timing, people are leaving now because there are actually 5 sittings here at the Ritz. So it's 11:30, 1:30, 3:30, 5:30 and 7:30. And you are allowed 1 hour and 45 minutes before you have to leave, and then they clean it up for the next people coming. Now here's a little tip. I arrived here about 25 minutes early for the 1:30 sitting, and they let me in early. So I've actually been here for about 2 hours already, and that's not a problem. So if you're coming, it's worth coming to see whether you can get in early, because they can get longer, because you can't stay later, but you can come earlier. So here we are at the end of the meal, and I've got a doggy bag, and you can see that this is the single best doggy bag I've ever seen in my whole life. This is like the sort of thing that you get when you go to a very high-end jewellery store. It's got the Ritz on it here, and look at the way that the cakes have been presented. So they're all in their individual little portions. They've got a nice little divider here. Everything's nicely protected. This is a really solid box. So it comes with a little handle. I think just make it all up like this. So that's fantastic in itself. Now I've got these straps so that I can carry this home on the tube and show off to everybody that I've been to the Ritz. So let's talk about the bill. So here's the bill. Now, we've had afternoon tea for 2 people, me and the cameraman have had our afternoon tea, so I had to pay twice, and it was quite a lot of money. So the total, including service charge, now the service charge was only 12.5%, which I would say is a bargain, because I've paid 15% recently at the Wolsey. Service wasn't very good there, didn't deserve 15%. These guys could have charged me 15 or 20% and I would have been happy. 12.5%, I think is a bargain. That was £20.25, and the total for 2 people was £182.25. So basically £91 each. So what's my verdict on the cost and what we've had? Well, I have to tell you, this is fantastic. This is the quintessential British afternoon tea. I don't think you can get better than the Ritz. This place was incredible. The food was really good. The service was exceptional. The atmosphere, brilliant. Just the sort of thing that you want. We had live music, lots and lots of chatter. It's incredible. So my score out of 10, it has to be a 10 out of 10 for the Ritz for the afternoon tea. If you're coming to London and you're thinking about afternoon tea, plan in advance. You need to book this maybe 3 months in advance to make sure you get a table. Book it anytime, doesn't matter whether it's 11:30 or 7:30 at night, just book it, come here, you'll have an amazing experience, guarantee it. So thank you very much for watching this video all the way through to the end. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you again on the next.